So the synopsis for this presentation today, first off, thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. The synopsis for this is essentially understanding how to talk to sponsors and reach out to them. I think that's one of the kind of scariest things that most people in robotics don't like to do, right? Because they're like, what do I say? And how do I reach out to them? And I don't know anybody. And it's scary, right? So the whole point of this today is to kind of change your mindset, your mindset in terms of what you should be thinking about and how you approach talking to businesses about sponsorship. Because my guess is most of you are doing it one way, which is not a good way. But that's okay, because you're going to learn a better way today. Okay, here's our breakdown for our presentation today. So first off, we're going to talk about ideal sponsors, right? What types of businesses should care about your team? Then we're going to go into your value. What does your team bring to the table that is valuable to these potential sponsors that you're trying to reach out to? Your approach, how do you approach these potential sponsors to start the conversation? Branding, how do you structure your team's identity to be memorable? So after you've talked to them, they don't just forget about you and like, I don't know, there's that one team over there, right? And lastly is annual renewal. How do you keep your sponsorships year after year so it's not just a one-time thing, right? Because we want compounding interest. Okay, so what businesses should care about your team? And primarily, who do you want to care about your team? This is a really important thing to know, okay? And you might, if you've seen me present things before, you've probably seen this statement already, but you burn this into your memory. If you're marketing to everybody, you're marketing to nobody, okay? Basically what that means is like if you're trying to reach to every single business you could possibly think of, potentially get sponsorship from, you're not special. Because ideally in this kind of world, for people to remember you, they need to know you for something, right? You're that one team that does that one thing, and that's why I remember you, and therefore you're marketing specifically to that particular person. And you can't be special to everybody. You just can't. You can try, but then you just kind of are like mediocre at everything, and no one really remembers who you are, right? I don't know, just another robotics team, because there's nothing special about them, because they didn't tailor anything specifically to me that I care about. So it's very important for you to understand, like, who do you actually care about in terms of businesses and sponsors? And it's not every business. It's not. There's a lot of businesses you could get sponsorship from. Some obvious ones are like companies in science and engineering, companies in the trade skills, right? Obviously, we're in robotics. We do all that stuff all the time. So simple. But there are also companies that aren't so obvious that can also be really impactful. Companies that are in real estate. Companies that do marketing and advertising, right? I mean, those are all things also that in robotics we do marketing and advertising. And I can almost guarantee you, if you go to a marketing firm and you talk to them about your robotics team, they'll be like, I had no idea that marketing teams do that kind of stuff, right? Because why would they? But if you tailor yourself towards that, you can all of a sudden become really unique because you're probably the first robotics team who's ever talked to them about marketing stuff. So how do you pick which companies you want to target? Okay, now you can decide this based on a couple of different things. There's a lot of different factors in terms of like who you should target. Which companies are there more of in your area? Which companies are the most profitable? Maybe they have money to spend. Which companies align best with your team's mission and values? Which companies do you have more connections with? Which companies could bring you the most value? You could bring the most value to. Okay, more on that in the coming slides. There's like a million things in terms of like how you should determine who you want to target for like sponsorship. But it's important basically to pick things that align with both your team and the business. Okay, and we're going to talk more about that here in a second and why that's really important. Sponsorship is a two-way street. Okay, it's not just about your team and what that business can do for you. It's what you also can do for that business. So it's really important that these are in alignment. Okay, so what do businesses want? Well, businesses want to solve problems within their business, and the more problems that you solve, the more valuable that you are, right? The goal of any business is to get more money, to keep growing their business and get bigger, right? Like that's the end goal of pretty much every single business in the entire world. If you can help them do that, they will want to sponsor you because you are valuable to them. They need a lot of different things. There's a lot of different problems businesses have, right? They need more visibility in their community. because like maybe people don't know that they're really around because they're small, right? They need help with company events that they run. Maybe they're a really big business and they have lots of people and they like to throw events, but like they always have to scramble to try to find people who can help them. They have funds they need to spend in order to get a tax break. Some businesses just have a budget and they just need to get rid of it by the end of the year so they get their tax break. And sometimes they just like don't know who to give the money to. Not usually a common problem, but it can be a problem. I've definitely seen it before. They need to increase their employee engagement within the company. Retention within companies is a huge issue. Like the average tenure of an associate in some companies is like 2 years. Meaning every 2 years they have turnover and they have to retrain people over and over and over again. And it takes a long time to train people. If they could keep people in their company for longer, it would make things smoother in their business. Maybe there's things that you could do that would show people in that company that their company cares about their community and therefore the people in the company want to stay with that company because they like that company. They need to nurture their pipeline of potential future employees, right? All of you here in this room that are students are all future employees to some business somewhere. And if that business could get a hold of you before you get to the point where you have to make a decision for what business you want to work for, they already have a leg up on their competitors. Because you already know in your mind, like, oh, I know that business because like I saw them at Jumpstart or I have some kind of connection with them. You're already kind of more inclined to move towards that business in terms of future employment than some other random business you've never heard of before, right? So if these businesses can like get to you first, they kind of have a little bit of an advantage of like the chances of you working for them is a little bit higher, which is valuable. Or they need more leads to potential customers so they can sell their products to. Right? All of you have connections to people that have money that need to buy things. And if the business could tap into the people that you know, new customers for them, right? That's valuable. The list is endless in terms of what businesses want, but these are all just things that you can think about, right? So why should they pick you? There's a lot of ways businesses can solve their problems. It doesn't necessarily mean to be that you are the one who can help them solve their problems, but the question you need to ask yourself is, why are you the primary reason or the primary solution that they should look towards to solve any of these problems that I just listed in the previous slide, right? And what's your unique angle that differentiates you from all of these other things that they could potentially be doing to solve their problems, okay? And so this is really important for you to understand. Every team should have one of these. This is what we call your value proposition. This is like when someone asks you, like a business comes to you like, what do you do? The answer you give them is this, okay? It's not like, well, we build robots, or you talk about competitions and regionals and world championship, like none of that stuff, okay? It's this. We are, insert team name, and we help specific type of person, or in this case, specific type of business, so that they can solve specific type of problem. The more specific you are, the better. Because again, we want to market to specific businesses, not all businesses. Okay, so it's important that you know who you're targeting. You explain how you do it, right? We do this by explain what you do, right? In a short, easy to understand manner. No jargon, no robotics words. Don't even use FRC. They're like, I don't know what the heck that means. Or FTC or FLL. Like they don't know what those words mean, right? Use easy to understand words so that anyone can understand. Then you explain to them like they could do some other thing that would like solve this issue that you potentially could help them with. But the reason why they should choose your team is because you're unique and special, right? You know something or you have something that other things don't have. And then at the end, you could have a potential call to action, which is like, what should the business do next, right? So for example, for me, I run Marketing Robots, social media channel. I am focused on helping robotics teams learn better marketing to help grow their programs, get more sponsorship, and recruit future team members, right? So, I'm Marketing Robots. I help first robotics teams level up their marketing so that they can gain more awareness in their community, gain more sponsorships and funding, ultimately grow their programs. I do this by breaking down marketing concepts into easy to understand videos on social media. Right? You could YouTube all of the concepts I teach. You could read tons of marketing books. You could take online courses that teach marketing, but none of them are going to understand the unique experience that is FIRST Robotics. The reason I'm different is I've been a FIRST Robotics coach since 2018, and I've seen firsthand how better marketing can help grow a robotics program. So if that's something you'd like for your program, you should subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow my other social media pages where I post about this stuff all the time. And it's free. Okay, so we figured out who we want to target based on whatever criteria we've decided. We've determined what makes us valuable to this business and why they would want to sponsor us. How do we begin the conversation? Okay. This is something that is also super important, okay? We're talking about leads. Cold leads, warm leads, and hot leads, okay? What are leads? Leads are potentially businesses who could sponsor you, okay? That's a lead. Someone you should follow up with, okay? That's a lead. And there's different levels of temperature based on how ready and willing are they to sponsor your team. Okay, hot leads are businesses who already know who you are, what you do. They already have an interest in what you do. They align with it. They have money they're ready to give away, and you just need to ask them, and they're like almost there. They're like almost ready to sign the check, right? They're super hot. Warm leads, businesses who know of your team and maybe a little bit of what you do. They think what you do seems kind of cool, but they don't fully know like all the details. They could be willing to give you money, but you kind of need to do some explaining or convincing before they could really make a decision. That's a warm lead. Okay, so you kind of got your foot in the door. They sort of know a little bit about you. Like you're not a complete stranger, right? But they don't know enough yet to be like already convinced they want to help you. Then you got cold leads. Businesses that don't know who you are. They have no idea what you do besides robotics, whatever that is. And they're probably very unlikely to give you money since they have no idea, like they have no reason to do so. My guess is, and you correct me if I'm wrong, you're probably starting here. That could be true, could be not. For the people in this room, I'm not sure. But most robotics teams are typically starting here. You really want to be starting here so you can get them to here. Okay? So how do we do that? One of the easiest things first is find someone within the business that you have a connection with to start talking to. If you're going down the route of a cold lead, like you're reaching out to businesses that have no idea who you are, they're just in your area and you're just sending emails, right? That is a numbers game. The more emails that you send, the more phone calls you make, the more outreach that you do to cold leads. It's just like if I reach out to 100 businesses a day and my success rate of getting a reply is like 1%, every day that I send it to 100 businesses, I'll get one reply. Right? So in a whole month, if I reach out to 100 businesses every single day for 30 days, right? That's going to be 3,000 businesses. And of the 3,000 businesses, I'll have gotten 30 replies. Now, the 30 replies, how many of those actually convert into a sponsorship? Right? It's probably even less. Of the 30 replies, I maybe, again, have like a 5% success rate, maybe. It's just math at that point, right? Really difficult to get sponsorships that way. However, if we start by talking to someone that we already know, they're going to be a warm lead. They know who you are at least to some degree. Like, hey, maybe you have someone on your team who is a parent. Their student is on the team, and so you reach out to the business saying, hey, I'm reaching out because so-and-so who works at your company has a student on our team, and I'd like to discuss maybe having a sponsorship opportunity. And now they're like more receptive to listen. They're like, oh yeah, I know Mary. Yeah, oh sure, yeah, I could have some time to talk, right? Because you're not some random stranger like calling on the phone. How many of you get like the spam phone calls and you're like, you don't even pick them up? Or half the time you're like, hello, right? And you mess with them because it's just fun. Like you're not really going to like humor them to whatever they're trying to sell you. People hate being sold stuff, hate it. So if you're just sending random emails to people who don't know who you are, it's the same thing as like someone calling you from some random spam number. The likelihood that you answer is super low. It's no different for a business. But if you get a phone call from a name that you recognize, you're like, oh, I wonder why they're calling me, right? Even if it's someone like you haven't talked to in like 5 years, but their number's in your phone, you're like, you're probably going to pick it up because you at least know who they are, right? Warm lead. They already have a connection with you. Now, it's harder to find hot leads with no pre-work. So usually we're going to start with warm leads. It's very unlikely that you'll already have a hot lead because typically you have to nurture leads from cold to warm to hot, or at least from warm to hot, okay? But you want to start at the warm level. Now, there's other ways you can create warm leads if you don't have connections, because that's something teams are like, well, we don't know anybody. to reach out to, right? So like, what do? I don't know, I don't have any connections. That's okay. You can create warm leads yourself. And the best way to do that is utilizing social media effectively. Half the battle, to be honest, is just getting businesses to know who you are before you contact them. You never want to contact a business who has no idea who you are, right? That is a losing battle. It's not going to be effective. So the best way in this day and age is to use social media and create content on a consistent basis and put it in places for people to see that explains who you are, what you do, what makes you special, because then most of the time people will comment back like, oh, that was really great video, or oh, that was super neat, right? And then you like reply back to them like, oh, what did you like about it? Blah, blah, blah. You start a conversation and maybe you find out that they're some person at some random company and you can reach out to that company saying, hey, I had a really interesting conversation with this person on Facebook, and they said I should reach out to you about potentially talking about a sponsorship. And again, now you've got a warm lead that you created yourself, okay? Or people oftentimes when you post on social media enough, they just know who you are. Like they see your stuff. They're like, oh yeah, I remember like seeing that one thing on Instagram. Like that was you guys? Like, yeah, that was us. Oh, that was super cool. Like, yeah, your robot that shot this cone was super neat. Great, they know who you are. They know like what your thing is. And now they're a warm lead because you're not a random stranger, right? So you can make warm leads yourself. It's probably best to start with someone you have a connection with because it's the fastest way. This takes time and consistent effort, but it's still very powerful, right, if you do both. Okay, so we've got some warm leads. We figured out who we can talk to. We want to start by scheduling a discovery call. Okay, so this is, you reach out by email. You could maybe make a phone call, but to be honest, trying to call someone on the phone and like hope that you can talk to them like right there and then, it's not likely, right? Because people are working, they're busy during the day, they got meetings, etc. Like you don't have time to probably just chat. So usually you want to reach out by email. You state who you are. You state that you believe there could be some value for a potential sponsorship. Again, it's important here that you iterate there is valuable things and why they should sponsor you. It's not just like, hey, I'm reaching out because I'm wondering if you'd be willing to donate to our robotics team. Dead on arrival. No way. It's not going to happen. Or at least at that point, it's a numbers game. You want to be bringing up like, hey, I think there could be some valuable things if we helped each other out. Okay? And you primarily just want to learn more about their business first and how they operate. Ask them questions to learn what problems they're facing in their business. Okay? The whole point of this discovery call is to learn, not to get a sponsorship. You're making friendships. You're making a friend. Okay? That's what you're doing first. You make a relationship. Hey, I'm really interested. Your business is in our area. I'm from the local robotics team, and I just really wanted to know what you guys do. Oh, okay. Well, this is what we do. Oh, that's really interesting. We do things like that on our team too. That's kind of neat. Have you ever do you know that our team is in your area? No, we didn't know that. Oh yeah, we're right down the road. In fact, we have the motors that like you guys make. We use them on our robot. It's crazy. Did you realize that? No, we didn't know that. Oh yeah. It'd be really cool if maybe we could help each other out. You have motors that we could use. We have students who know how to do some certain things. Maybe we could talk about whatever. All you're talking about is like what their business does, how it relates with what you guys do, and you're just having a conversation and making a friend. Okay? That's the discovery call. And in this call, if you find out or learn that there's anything that this business is maybe trying to do that your team could help with, now you have an opportunity. You have a potential sponsorship opportunity. Okay? Now, it's really hard, of course, to do all of that in just one meeting. One phone call. So oftentimes you want to schedule up a follow-up to discuss sponsorship. Okay, the discovery call is again just to learn about the business, learn if there's anything between you that like you guys could help each other with. And if there is, if you believe that there could be value for the business to sponsor your team, after your discovery call, you schedule a follow-up to discuss what that could look like. And this could take multiple meetings. Like you could meet with a business 5 times before you maybe eventually close the deal. At this point, we're talking about sales, by the way, and in case none of you realize this. Like, this is sales. This is literally selling. But it's not doing it in the sleazy, like, car salesman way. It's doing it in the right way that you should do sales. Okay? It could take multiple meetings and a lot of follow-ups, right? You meet on a Monday, And then they're like, yeah, I'll go back and talk to the person, whoever makes the decisions, and I'll get back to you, right? And then of course they get busy and they forget. And so like a week later, you send a follow-up. Hey, we had a really great conversation last Monday. I know that you went away to talk to so-and-so. Have you had time to talk to them yet? I'd be really interested to keep chatting about this. Oh, I'm sorry, I've been busy. Yeah, I'll talk to them this week, I promise. Okay, great, right? And then maybe like 2 days, 3 days later, they send the email back. Hey, I chatted with so-and-so. They'd like to talk again. Can we set up another meeting? Yep, no problem. Set up another meeting, talk again, right? And you keep doing that until either eventually you get a sponsorship or you don't. But again, the chances of that happening are much higher when you're going down this road of like actually learning and listening about what the business wants. And it's not just like, what can we get from you, okay? Getting a sponsorship where there's no value for the business is only going to lead to short-lived sponsors, not sustainable year after year support, which is what we want, right? We want sponsors that are going to want to be a part of our team year after year after year, at least for I would say minimum of like 3 years. Sponsorships don't last forever. That's the reality of it, right? Like businesses can't do it forever, depending, of course, on what the sponsorship looks like. But at some point, oftentimes, like, they just can't support it anymore and you split ways. And that's okay. But you don't want it just after 1 year. Preferably maybe 3 years, right? Get some foundation for your funding or whatnot, and then you can build from there. And then when you lose a sponsorship, it's not as devastating because you've got other sponsors that you've been doing the same thing with. And it's basically like having a business on retainer, right? Like they pay you X $1,000s a year, and then you do work for them for like that time period, and you do that with 10 businesses, right? You lose one, it's just a small amount of your income. Like it's not devastating. But if that's the only business you have and you lose them, it's like, oh my gosh, we don't have any funding now. Like what are we going to do? That's bad, right? That's really bad. You don't want that to happen. Because then you're in scramble mode to try to figure out like how are we going to make this up? We just lost this giant thing of funding that we had, and we didn't do anything to get any more between that time. Okay. This is a really important part of this presentation. I'm curious if anyone is interested to role play with me, because I'm curious to see how you talk to a business owner. So the point of this right now is I want to play the business owner here. Okay, and I'm going to give you some context. I'm curious if anyone will be willing to do this with me, even if it's a mentor. Perfect. Oh, you're the best. Okay, so I'm a medium-sized business who makes electric motors and gearboxes for various types of machinery. I have no idea what First Robotics is. Okay, you're the student or mentor. You know that this business could be a potential sponsor to your team because we can both bring value to each other. Your students are their future employees, and they have materials or maybe funding that your team could use. The business is also in your area, so it would increase their goodwill in the community if they sponsored your team. How do we start this conversation? Okay, so you're the student, I'm the business owner, I'm just sitting here, I'm like, no, I'm just doing my job on my computer. Are you going to email me? Are you going to phone call me? Email. You want to email? Okay, cool. What's your email going to say?
Hi, my name is Blanket from the First Robotics Team 5275. I believe a partnership between us would be mutually beneficial.
Okay. Right. And that's the email?
That would be the start.
That'd be the start. Okay. You want to take over? Okay. Sure. So you say, hi, I'm so-and-so from Robotics Team number. I think a sponsorship could be mutually beneficial. Then what?
We understand that you could need some goodwill in our community. We are fairly close to you. We believe that if you funded us, this would be great for you. This would increase your publicity. This would
Okay. And what should I do? It's okay, by the way. It's okay. So learning how to talk to businesses is challenging, right? That's the whole point of this, and that's why we're going to do this here real quick. So to point out some of the things you just said that were good and that were not good. One, you obviously introduced who you are. Hi, I'm so-and-so. I'm from this team number. First off, that team number is irrelevant to them. They have no idea what that means. They're not to say it's not important, but like it's just gibberish for them, right? They don't know what that means. But that's fine, right? You described who you were. You said, hey, I think there could be some value between a beneficial sponsorship, right? Okay, cool. So you kind of start like establish, hey, there's a reason why I'm kind of reaching out to you about some stuff. Now, you made a really big error. You said, I believe this could bring goodwill for your company in the community. Basically, you just said to them, hey, I think people don't like your company in our community, but if you pair with us, we're going to make it better for you. You automatically made an assumption that you think you already know what their problem is. Do you know what their problem is? You have no idea, right? You have no idea what this business wants, what they find valuable. And again, right now, we're just trying to start the conversation. What's the first thing that we want to set up when we start the conversation? A discovery call. What's the purpose of a discovery call? To learn what the business wants and what they care about, right? If we're going in hot, already like, I already know what you care about. You care that the community has goodwill for you. And you care, like, no. Think of it like this. You're a doctor. When you go to the doctor, you're like, hey, doctor, my stomach hurts. And they're like, oh, no problem. Take this medicine, go home. Is that what they do? They just like give you something and like, yep, go on your merry way. I've solved your problem. What do? They what? They ask questions. Why do they ask questions?
So they can diagnose you.
They can diagnose what your problem is, right? Maybe like, oh, my stomach hurts. Like, oh, well, what have you eaten recently? Like, I don't know, just normal food. Okay. Well, have you done any physical exercise? Did you have an injury of some kind? Well, yeah, my friend actually drop kicked me in the stomach yesterday. Oh, okay, right? If I give you this medication, it's probably not going to solve the problem. You have like a broken rib, right? So the purpose of this email is to basically find out about the business, right? So we don't want to go in assuming like we already know what the problem is. We want to go in saying like, hey, I'm so-and-so. Now, again, in this role play scenario, you can kind of make up whatever you want, right? Because it's a role play. But knowing the things that we talked about before, hopefully you're reaching out to this business and it's not a cold call, meaning they have no idea who you are. Hopefully you have done a little bit of research and figured out that this business is someone you have a connection with. Maybe there is someone who works on your team, a mentor, who works at this company, right? So you send the email saying, hi, so-and-so. I'm reaching out to you because so-and-so on my team recommended that I reach out to you because they thought that there could be some value that a sponsorship between our business and my robotics team could be. Would you be open to having a discussion about this or chatting with me sometime? It shouldn't take maybe any longer than about 10 or 15 minutes. Done, right? And then they can decide, oh, Mary said they, okay. Oh, yeah. Hi, so-and-so. Yeah, I know who that is. And yeah, I'd love to chat. I'm not really sure I know much about your team, but sure, I think I can make 15 minutes of time in my day. Great, wonderful. When would you be open? Maybe this week or next week? You know, would you like to talk on the phone? Would you like to do a Google meeting call? Right? I would say you very much want to talk to them face-to-face in person. You don't want to have long conversations over email. A lot of emotion and context gets lost in text, okay? So face-to-face, you can ask questions, take notes. It's what you want to do, okay? So we want to start by, again, we know somebody. We bring up the fact that there's a connection between us. I'm not some random stranger reaching out to you. Like, there's a reason why I'm reaching out to you, okay? And ask them questions. What does your business do? You know, I know you're in our area. I know you kind of do this, but like, what is your business? Like, if you had to explain what your business does, what do you do? And they like, businesses love talking about themselves, by the way. They love talking about themselves. Like, let them talk all they want. Like, oh, this is what we do, and we're the third largest manufacturing, blah, blah, blah. You're like, oh, wow, interesting, right? You write all these things down. You're like, and then you go, are there any issues that like you're having within your company that you'd be willing to like discuss with me? Like, you know, maybe, you know, like visibility in the community, or maybe like, you know, like future employee, like what does your pipeline look like for future employees? Like, where do you typically go? How do you find your future employees? Do you guys do any kind of like workshops, or do you go to any kind of job fairs? Right? You just ask all these questions just to learn, like, you know, the things that you bring to the table, are they things that the business cares about? You kind of, they're sort of leading questions, but you ask them these things to learn, is there something that maybe you could help them with? Okay, then that's how you go from there. So, That's how we want to do our discovery calls. That's how we want to start talking and having that conversation. In terms of creating content to make warm leads yourself, again, some of you are probably on social media doing this for your team already, but creating content that's consistent across your platforms is really important because, again, if we're trying to create warm leads for ourselves, we want businesses, anytime they see our content, to know it's our teams, right? Like, they go on Facebook and it looks this way, and then they go to Instagram and it's completely different. They can't connect the dots. They have no idea that those are they're the same people. Because your Instagram account is run by your students and it's completely a bunch of memes and TikToks and viral things. And your Facebook is run by the parents and it's all just promotional things about our events coming up, right? And like there's no connection between them. Not good. We want consistency across our platforms so that we're recognizable. This can help your team create content with a consistent look. It's clarifying for everyone on your team what your team's identity looks like. It's helpful for sponsors if they want to share information about your team. Again, other people see it and they immediately recognize, oh, that's the robotics team, because it always looks a certain way and always sounds a certain way. I do have a video on this on my YouTube. So if you're interested in making what we call a brand board, which is this here, I'd recommend watching that. But this is something that's got your fonts, your colors, your logos, your voice. In this one I didn't put any of that, but like a lot of times it will have like, what does your voice, your team's voice sound like? When you put things out there, are you usually humorous? Are you usually serious? Are you usually trying to be like kind of pulling on emotion all the time? Like you're telling like heartfelt kind of stories? Like what does your team's voice sound like? You can put that on here as well. That way, if other people make content for your team, again, it's consistent. And it's not like, well, you know, I do it this way, but Billy does it that way. And it's very clear when Billy posts compared to when I post. We don't want that. Yeah.
What is your YouTube channel's name?
My YouTube channel is Marketing Robots. Yep. In fact, all my socials will be at the end here. So, okay. Once you've got your sponsors, keep them year after year. Okay. The key to getting sponsors that want to support you year after year is to build a relationship where the sponsor feels like they're a partner and they're not just a piggy bank. Now, sorry, make sure that doesn't pick up my audio. Ways that you can make your sponsors feel valued, right? Help them fix the problems that you learned about in that initial discovery call. If you do a discovery call to learn what their issues are and then you don't do anything to help solve them, there's like almost zero chance they're going to continue to sponsor you. Because they're like, hey, when we first chatted, you talked about all these things and you didn't do any of them, right? That feels really shady, feels really bad. That's like, again, you go to buy something from a store and they tell you all the things it can do and you bring it home, you're like, this doesn't do any of the things it said it was going to do. And you're like, what the heck, that was a waste of like $100. Feels terrible, right? Don't do that. Share information with your team, with them on a consistent basis. They feel like they're part of your team. Again, like they're a partner. They're in this with you, not just like, hey, thanks for giving us the thing, and they're like, we'll see you again in 12 months. Like, oh, okay. Thanks, I guess, right? That doesn't feel good either. It's like they just feel like they're being used. Show your appreciation and thankfulness for their support, right? Tell them thank you. Send them thank you cards. Put things on Facebook about it or social media about it, right? Like invite them to your space and like show them the thing at the end. Like, hey, we really appreciate your support. Like with the help you've given us, like look what we've accomplished. Like this has been great. We really appreciate it. And every year, see how you can be even more valuable to your sponsor by learning about new problems they have that you can help with. Honestly, one of the easiest ways to get more like funding or support is to utilize the sponsors you already have. So like if you have a sponsor, let's say like year after year, they give you $500. Then you go like, hey, you know, we appreciate every year you've given us $500. We're wondering like, what could we do that you would be willing to give us $1,000 this year? And they're like, well, maybe if you did this. I'm like, oh, we could do that. Okay, yeah, sure. Like, well, let's get something together. You know, if you can increase your sponsorship to $1,000, like, we will do this for you. I'm like, oh, okay. There's $1,000, right? You just 2x'd your sponsorship. And maybe like the next year or the year after, you're like, hey, we appreciate that you've been giving us $1,000. What can we do where you'd be like willing to up that to $2,000? Maybe there's always something, I can tell you that. Every single business, every person, if you can find what they care about, money is not a factor in this world. It's not. You can always make more money. Always. Every business can always make more money. But money doesn't always fix the problems that you have because money can't solve everything, right? So Like $2,000 might seem a lot. $5,000, $25,000, that might seem like a lot of money. But if you fix a problem for a business that is worth it, they will pay that money to you in 2 seconds, like so fast. Like, well, yeah, it's worth it. If this $25,000 is going to help us fix this problem that we can't fix, heck yeah, here you go, right? You just got to figure out what that is. Now, this is only the beginning. Okay, effective marketing utilizes a lot of different tools. So if you want to learn more, you can always contact me. These are all my socials. Okay, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Instagram and YouTube are by far my most prominent ones. Facebook is just kind of an extension of my Instagram right now. It's not one of the ones I mainly focus on, but I'm on there too. So I'm always willing to help teams, give information. Yeah, so there you go. All right, question time. I said before, you're going to be my microphone person. How much time do I have? I got 15 minutes. Oh, man. Last time I was like 2 minutes before the clock was out. I was like, oh, no. All right, Dean had a question. Is that right, Dean?
Yeah, I have a comment.
Oh, a comment. Okay.
One thing, we need a microphone.
Yeah, this is for myself. This is for my own content.
So one thing in our days of marketing and when I was more involved with this kind of stuff on a team is we would talk to kids about robotics and we'd show them the robot. Hey, kids, you get to build a robot.
Yep.
And the kids are interested in building the robot. You know what the sponsors are interested in? We're building these kids. We're building these young people. We're turning them into somebody you would like to have around as an adult.
Future employees, right? That the
So
business cares about.
that's kind of what your thought process I think needs to be. Hey, look at these kids. We're building up these kids.
Yeah, the people side of robotics is definitely probably more valuable than the robot side of robotics for businesses, to be honest, right? Because people are super valuable, right? I mean, like think of the lifetime of an employee at a company and like how much value that employee brings to that company over a 20-year time span. Astronomical. Any questions? It's a lot of information here in a relatively short amount of time. So if you have questions, like feel free to ask.
What was your name?
What was my name? I don't know if I did say my name. I'm Jeremy Bosquez. I'm a mentor on Team 7028, the Binary Battalion. I was the head coach of Team 7530, now the Raiders of the Lost Spark. They changed their name, so I got to keep remembering it's not Brotherhood of Steel anymore. Out of Watertown Mayor, I was the head coach. I started that team out in 2018. I was there until fall of 2023. I stepped away from that team. So the 2024 year, I wasn't really with any team. And then I started with STMA like the fall of 2024. So last year was my first season with them, just as a marketing mentor, not a head coach or anything like that. This is my second year now. I'll be with them again. So I want to make sure I get questions. I'm going to hand this back to them. What's your question?
What do you think the most effective social medias are for marketing your team?
Good question. The first, I guess, my question back to that would be, what does your team care about the most? Who does your team care about the most is really the answer of the question.
Our community. Your
community, okay.
And just the technology community at large.
Okay, so the people you care about the most is your community, like your area?
Yeah.
What kind of people in your community?
People who are interested in the STEM field.
So are we talking about adults? Are we talking about kids?
Everyone, really.
But we don't want to care about everyone.
Oh, yeah.
You don't want to care about everyone, see? And that's the problem right there is who do you really care about? If you had to pick one type of person in your community who's interested in the STEM field, which one do you really care about the most?
Probably younger people.
So students?
Yeah.
Okay, so you really care about the students in your community and the ones that are interested in STEM. Okay, so what platform do students primarily use for social media?
YouTube and
Instagram,
TikTok,
YouTube, TikTok, right? Are they on Facebook?
No.
Nope. They on LinkedIn? Nope. So what social media platform should you care about?
YouTube and TikTok, mostly.
And Instagram too, right? Now YouTube is kind of its own special one. I wouldn't really consider YouTube an actual social media platform. It's really more of a search engine. It's like Google, right? People go onto YouTube to like find things or learn things. Sometimes, obviously, if you're bored, you go onto YouTube just like find something entertaining to watch or something to watch. But a lot of times, like people use it to search stuff. Compared to true social media is like content you're scrolling through all the time, right? And you're seeing tons and tons and tons of stuff. That's like true social media where you're commenting back on people and you're like having conversations to some degree. YouTube is much more just about the person and like finding something they want. So true social media would be like Instagram and TikTok.
Okay.
Right? YouTube is obviously also good for other factors, but yeah. That help answer your question?
Yeah.
I've got that question quite a few times, by the way, and that's always the question I ask is like, well, depends who you care about, right? Because you can't care about everybody.
Okay, so I know it depends on each team, but how often do you think a team should be posting on, let's say, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, any of the social medias during build season?
Okay, so also a great question. Depends on the platform, because every platform is different, and again, has different audiences. Different people are on it who have kind of different tolerances for things. So first thing is you should pick one of the platforms and
Okay.
do that one.
Let's do YouTube then.
Okay.
How often should he post? Except ignore impact videos, all that stuff.
Okay, so we're gonna pick YouTube. That's the platform we're gonna focus on. Okay? Okay. So now the question is, how often should you be posting on YouTube? Right? Okay, now there's two different types of videos on YouTube. There's long form and there's short form. Which one do you care about?
Let's do skits because they're the most interesting
Okay,
for
so
our age group.
So short form video. Okay, so how often should you be posting short form video on YouTube?
Yes.
Is that the question?
Yes.
Okay. You see what we're doing here? We're narrowing down the focus. How often should we post short form videos on YouTube? Now there's the answer I would give you for best practice, and then there's the real answer. Okay. Best practice answer is probably 2 times a week. Minimum of 1. The real answer is as often as you can. And when I say as often as you can, is like as often as you realistically can and be consistent without burning yourself out or burning your team out. So like if you can consistently make a short form video and post it once a week, do it. If you can't and like you just can't keep up, maybe 2 times a week or once every 2 weeks, right? Maybe that's easier to do and you can consistently do that. To be honest, when it comes to social media, it's not about frequency, it's about consistency. Because the algorithms and your audience are like expecting to see things from you on a consistent basis. So if it's random, I don't know, like I post once every blue moon or when I feel like it. This week I posted twice, and then the next week I don't post anything, and the whole month goes by, and then I post again, and then like 2 weeks go by and I post 5 things, and it's like all over the place, right? It's like they have like no idea, like, should I expect you sometime this week? Like I have no idea, right? It's consistent. So if you can consistently do it once a week. Best practice is like probably twice a week or even more, but the easiest is once a week is, I would say, pretty easy to maintain, especially when it's not just one person. Like if you have more than just you doing it, once a week is pretty simple. Because if you can batch record, like you go to practice and you come up with like, I don't know, 10 ideas of like videos to make, and you record 10 videos, and you go back, you're like, okay, we got 5 people or even 3 or even 2 people. You edit 5 and I'll edit 5. That's 10 weeks of content from one practice, because you're only going to post 1 a week, right? Now you got tons of time to go make whatever else you want to make, because you schedule them once every week for 10 weeks. That's like more than 2 months. Which, by the way, I have a video on my YouTube channel of doing exactly that. So if you're interested in seeing that, I do have a video of me going to a practice, coming out with, I think, 10 or 9 different post ideas, and then I even show you how I edited them and post them. So that's on my YouTube channel too. But, yep. You gotta hand it down there.
Okay.
He's got a question. Question.
To expand on one of the questions you asked him when you're narrowing down was, who's your target audience, adults or students? From a marketing perspective, in your opinion, who should we be targeting? Should it be the adults with money or the students with a voice?
Okay. So I'll ask you some questions back. What does your team need right now?
Money.
Okay, so who has money?
The adults.
That's who you should target.
Okay.
Your marketing, to be honest, at the end of the day, the purpose of marketing is to persuade people to do something that you want them to do. And whatever it is that you want them to do, hopefully, is going towards a goal that you're trying to achieve. So if the goal for your team right now is to increase your funding, then your marketing should be doing things to persuade people with money to help fund your team. And the people with money would be probably the adults. I say probably, because there are probably some students out there who are like entrepreneur, doing stuff. There's a kid that I had in Watertown that I taught. He was running a business at like 16, selling, he would sell like cubicle desks and stuff for like companies, right? When they renovate and then they need to build all these cubicles out. And he would sell them. Like, I don't even know how he got into this, but he was like he had like a legit business as like a sophomore. And I'm like, dude, what? It's crazy. Great kid. So I don't want to be like, there's not students out there who have money, because there probably are, but it's most likely adults. So.
Are you doing this all year? Or are you only doing it during build season? We have a small team.
Yep.
And it does end up being just a few people.
Sure.
So burnout is
and
other activities and,
So the question is basically like, how often should you be marketing your team, right? All year long, just during the build season, right? Again, there's two answers to this: best practice and there's the real answer. Best practice is all year long, consistently, all the time. That's the best practice. The real answer, as much as you can. So obviously during the season when students are active and around, you might be more frequent. But then once the season ends and they're all like off doing their own things, right? No one pays attention to your team Slack and other channels, and it's just you, it might be less active, but I wouldn't have it go to zero. Right? I would never have it truly go down to like nothing anymore, where it's like we're only active for like 4 months and then it's like dead for 8. I would never have that happen, because in terms of social media and like, again, the algorithms and how they push stuff, the more consistent you are, then the algorithm like knows when to expect you, and it can help like push your stuff. And if you just like completely go away, it's like, oh, you're dead now. Okay. And like goes over to these other people. So maybe during the season you can post like once a week, and then maybe when the season's over, it's like I'm going to post once a month, once every 2 weeks or 3 weeks or something, right? But I wouldn't have it truly go to zero. That's my own thoughts. Okay. Well, thank you all for spending the time with me here today. I appreciate it. Hopefully you have a great rest of your Jumpstart.